Thank you so much for joining us here on this platform. It's a pleasure to have you here. You've been associated with the education industry for almost 3 decades now. What keeps you connected with the education sector?
Thank you, Shelby, for asking this question. Yes, in spite of being an educator for almost 3 decades, frankly speaking, I do not know how I still feel so enthusiastic even today. In fact, when I accidentally came to teaching profession in my early 20s, I never thought that I'm going to have a career in this field. But I think over the years, I have become more passionate towards teaching and learning. And fortunately for me, the journey has been very, rewarding and satisfying. I feel that for a teacher who is committed to the cause, this profession is the most satisfying and fulfilling. You are able to impact a lot of young minds, that also in a big way. Obviously, the classroom experience is the best part of it. When you go to the classroom each time with a kind of a beginner's mindset, the learning is in fact immense. I must admit that as a professor of management, I have learned from my students more than from any other source. Also, the academic freedom that you get in a high quality institute like SPJIMR brings the best out of a teacher. Above all, the bonding that you have with your students is, I think, priceless. One of the most pleasant experiences while traveling for me has been this bumping into my former students. Their love and affection makes you feel very, very good. And I don't think any other profession can provide all this.
So in your opinion, what is the future of management education in India? Is the demand as strong as it was few years ago, or is it waning?
Change is something inevitable, and we need to have the ability to adapt to the change. There is no doubt that the MBA market will undergo a lot of changes in the coming years. Stories still persist about the decline of MBA, but I feel that the demand for postgraduate lifelong learning will only grow as people have to reskill and upskill to build their careers. So in the recent past, we have actually begun to realize that education is no longer something to finish before entering the workforce or within a few years after you have a job. In order to accelerate or transform careers, people must continuously learn and develop throughout their working lives. And so the boundaries between work and education have been blurring. Now working means learning and learning means working. Therefore, MBA is definitely going to be a part of the answer to this demand. But having said this, we need to accept that the curriculum and the way it is going to be delivered may be very different, as there will be many alternatives to a full-fledged MBA. I feel that there will be a strong demand for what people call it these days as blended learning models that combine the traditional face-to-face and the online learning. So I think a part of all these changes is going to be shaped by technology. Technology will help to create the content and make it readily accessible to learners. It will provide management educators new resources and tools to reach out to students and to improve the quality of education. At the same time, technology will also enable management institutions to focus on providing more what you call human-centered, transformative kind of experiences. In that sense, I feel that the future of management education is going to be more, experiential learning and, blended learning.
So what are some of the biggest challenges you see both for higher education in general and for SPJIMR specifically?
I think the new enabling technologies and the increased demand for experiential learning is bound to pose a lot of big challenges for higher education in general and for management education in particular. In my opinion, some of the questions that the institutions might need to find answers would be, the first thing is, how are these institutions in the field of management and other higher education going to leverage technology to develop and deliver cutting edge content? So this might be an important question to answer. Then the question of how the management education is adapting to the need of, as I said before, the experiential learning. There is a demand for experiential learning. How do you adapt to that? That may be a question that need to be addressed. Then how do you shift your focus to a kind of more integrative learning? This basically means combining concepts from different academic disciplines and providing the diversity of knowledge that students need to need to have to address the global challenges. And then another relevant question could be how management education is going to adapt to the changes in the demand for lifelong learning. This again something that I already said. And also possibly the need for personalized learning based on the learning styles of different students. Different students, they have different learning styles. So how do you adapt to that? And again, maybe one more challenge could be, apart from imparting knowledge, how the management institutes are helping to develop skills and attitude. I think that's so important for a student or for somebody to become successful leaders and managers. And the proposed, national education policy announced by the government, I feel would help to find answers to some of these questions. And coming to SPJIMR in particular, I feel all these challenges that I have said, all of them we also need to keep finding answers to. However, as a highly innovative and innovative management institute, and as a leader in, say, non-classroom and experiential learning, I think we are a little ahead of most others in addressing some of these challenges. So this is my answer to your question.
So in your experience, how has the demand for an MBA PGDM course evolved over the past few years? What is the current ratio of students in SPJIMR opting to major in operations and SCM, information management, marketing, and finance?
Okay, I think the demand for high quality MBA or PGDM from reputed institutes will only grow. This is what I feel. The number of applications for our PGDM program has only steadily increased over the past few years, though the number of students who write CAT has not seen maybe that kind of increase. The intake capacity of IIMs also have undergone a significant increase during this period. But in spite of that, the demand for our PGDM program increasing the reason we would attribute that to maybe the enhanced brand image of our institute and also the superior student outcomes. As far as placement outcomes are concerned, I think we are second to none at this point of time. We still have relatively a smaller batch size of 240 for our PGDM program as compared to our peers. In fact, we have deliberately kept this a small batch size so that we do not dilute the SPJIMR PGDM experience in any way. At SPJIMR, you need to take a decision about the area of specialization at the time of admissions itself. I think this is something different as compared to any other business school. And there are also minor differences in the selection criteria for different specializations. We have 4 specializations. So we normally have, say, equal distribution of students admitted to each of our specializations. In that sense, we have more or less a strength of 60 in all our 4 specializations, that is operations and supply chain, information management, marketing, and finance.
So post the COVID era, what trends do you see evolving in the SCM industry? Accordingly, how is SPJIMR preparing its students to have industry-ready skills?
True, it's a very complex question. This outbreak has severely challenged the resilience of supply chains and impacted global operations in a big scale. So this possibly is, I think, one of the biggest disruptions that has ever happened to the global supply chain. But what we do is at SPJIMR, with the help of courses and maybe also the live projects that we have, we help our students to understand the major shifts that has happened in the supply chain environment with respect to the different areas of supply chain, say demand, channels of distribution, transportation, and even manufacturing and production. Unlike other business schools, our students carry out their corporate internships in the second year after they complete their core specialization courses. It helps them to apply theory to practice a little more maybe effectively. That's what we have understood from our experience. We also have courses on critical thinking, design thinking, that helps our students to think differently and to be innovative in problem solving. They're also exposed to problem solving in unstructured environment, which is we feel is very, very important. All our students do a 1 month social internship with one of the NGOs in the rural India. And again, we have a 3 weeks intensive course in their area of specialization in one of our partner schools in the US that help them to get a feel of the global relevance of management decisions. So we call it Global Fast Track Program. I think all such exposure that our students get, say from this institute, I think help them to be industry ready, maybe right from day one. That's what we normally feel.
So how do you and SPJIMR help a student to decide about which specialization he or she should opt for?
Yeah, that's a key difference. In fact, so many ways SPJIMR is distinct. A key difference of SPJIMR is that before signing up for the program, the candidate has to choose the area of specialization. So our selection process not only evaluates the what you call the intellectual capabilities of the aspirant, like any other B school. We also give relevance, or maybe the relevance of their work experience, if any, with the chosen specialization. That is something that we give importance. Also the extracurricular activities, and also an attitude that is befitting to the institute's mission of value-based leadership. This is something that we look at in the aspirants. We have 2 rounds of interviews that we conduct in small groups. In the first round, we look at the overall profile of the candidate and the suitability to that chosen specialization. The second round mainly looks at the value fit that I have already said with the institute. Though we recruit fresh candidates, relevant experience will be an added advantage for students, especially those who are opting for operations and supply chain and information management specializations.
So can you enlighten our viewers on what are the possible job opportunities in operations and supply chain management industry, and what does the career ladder looks like?
Yeah, the field of operations and supply chain is in fact very, very broad. Opportunities for our graduates are actually immense. So supply chain professionals are required in all different types of organizations. Some of the typical jobs that our students are placed may include supply chain itself, logistics, demand planning, forecasting, purchasing, inventory planning, say operation scheduling, process planning, quality management, Six Sigma, ERP systems, warehousing, and so on and so forth. Also, top consulting firms recruit SPJIMR operations and supply chain specialization students in the role of business strategy and operation strategy and let's say business analytics and business process excellence and so on. They have that way immense opportunities and a lot of opportunities for say career growth.
So any suggestions you would like to give to the current youth and the aspiring students?
Yeah, for aspiring students, so SPJIMR, I think it might be good for them to know that SPJIMR is a very distinct management institute that works with the mission of influencing practice and promoting value-based growth. Our distinctiveness includes a number of pedagogic innovations which we have developed over a long period of time, active engagement with business, and our unique non-classroom learning methodologies that help build managers and leaders who are socially sensitive. So social sensitivity is a very, very important aspect of SPJIMR. The purpose of PGDM program, we believe, is to develop young value-based leaders who balance profit and social purpose. To achieve this, we select academically strong, versatile, and grounded candidates. Overall, I can say that SPJIMR PGDM journey has the potential to transform your life. And in general, my advice to the youth would be to focus on your strengths. In the social media age, it is likely that to have what people call these days as FOMO, or fear of missing out. Therefore, there is a need to prioritize and focus on your strengths, and then maybe trying to be the best in everything that you do. As far as the strengths are concerned, I think you must compete with yourself continuously to be the best that you can be. Be kind and respectful to others. The old school values of kindness, honesty, sincerity, empathy are extremely relevant even now. Continue the hard work, be persistent in your efforts, and be optimistic. This pandemic is not going to take away the results of all the hard work that you have put in for so many years. And finally, once in a while, take some time off for introspection and reflection to know yourself a little better. I think success and happiness comes from when you help yourself and also help others. I wish everyone all the very best.
Thank you so much for your insightful interview, sir. I'm sure the viewers are going to learn a great deal about SPJIMR and the programs here. Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.